Mati, thanks so much for having me here today. We've spent last night here at your beautiful Mbano Manor Hotel. Suzanne and I had a most comfortable night. It's one of the most tranquil places we've stayed in.
Okay.
Sit in amongst this beautiful ancient teak forest, the sound of the falls in the background, the birds singing.
You didn't get to hear any hyenas?
I think, unfortunately, because I live here in Victoria Falls,
you're so
I
used
think
to
I've
them.
tuned into
Yes,
that.
you're so used to them.
So I was
Okay.
tuning into other sounds,
Okay.
particularly here. But I know
Okay.
the hyenas are very close. Elephants, buffalo, wandering past.
Yes.
Mati, again, thank you for having us. And
Yeah, it's a
you
pleasure.
know, I'd like to talk to you, please, a little bit about what inspired you to create this beautiful Mbano Manor Hotel. And I know, there's a very powerful history behind you, and I know that you've worked
Sure.
in convention centers in South Africa, Santon, airlines. You've worked in TV production. You've been in many things, but I'd like to go beyond that, please, and sort of really delve into who Mati is,
Okay.
what's inspired you. There's obviously something. This is a dream you've worked towards.
Yes.
And you were telling me just now, it took many months and years to conceive Mbano Manor. So,
Yeah.
where did that inspiration come from?
I think probably a lot of it I wasn't even aware that I was building to what we have today. But if I look back at my history, there's almost been, my working history, almost everything in its own way has contributed to where we are today. So, like you're saying, my journalism history, which was the first thing I did post university, that in itself inspired just a love of writing, a love of knowing what other countries are doing, a love of the world, actually, to be honest. And I still, up to today, I'm still almost a journalist at heart, because I really love actually listening and watching I watch the news every day. So you tell me what's happening in China, I'll tell you, etc. But beyond that, then from there, when I joined tourism, it's been a journey. And I always say, I've met the tourists in different capacities over the last 30 years. So first as a destination management, working for what's now Zimbabwe Tourism Authority. I was public relations officer. I even remember 1987, there was Halley's Comet, and I took two Italians, and they were all looking in the sky and saying, there it is, and I never saw it. But there's all these things. I remember going my first time to Hwange National Park, and there was a treetop product that was really sort of product of the month, but I just said I will not sleep in a tree, I will stay in the hotel. So there have been so many of these sort of moments in my life where I think I've been so lucky. I've been exposed to really beautiful product, and tourism, is all about beauty, and just nature and beauty. I always mention that I've been to over 60 countries on
Wow.
business and on leisure. Every place I go to, I come out with something. I'm Catholic, by the way, and I love to see the oldest cathedral in that town. So I think I've been lucky. I've had a good career. So then taking all of that from there, eventually, from about around 2015, 2016, we're discussing with my husband, so what next? One of these fine days we need to retire. I've been living in South Africa for quite a while. He'd been also working in South Africa as a professor there. And I just said to him, I've always had a dream to own something at Victoria Falls. Because for me, Zimbabwe tourism, the epitome of Zimbabwe tourism is Victoria Falls. When this came up, and I just looked at it, and it was still full forest. There was just a little old Kazungula road outside, nothing else. Serious forest. And I just said, wow, this is it. But then when I look back, this was influenced by, yes, this is it, because I've seen a place like this in Bali, I've seen a place like this sort of in Greece, or I've seen a place like this in South America. And I finally went to an architect, and he said to me, look, there's no way you can do a 5-star facility and you don't have the falls and you don't have the river next to you. And I just said, yes, but I've got the best of Africa, which is under the blue sky. I've got beautiful trees that are as ancient as time is. And I knew it would work. And I'm still 5 minutes away from the Victoria Falls. So it's the best of all worlds. Somewhere along the line, I don't even know where, I learned the art that you perform best if you're surrounded by people who know better than you. Or people who bring a skill that you don't have. That's really where Mbano comes from. It's been a journey.
Thank you for sharing that. We've spoken at some length, about your career in business and career working in the corporate sector. But
yes.
I also know you've got a very decorated academic background. You're a doctor of philosophy in
yes,
business administration.
Yes,
I think I get it right, and a number of other degrees.
Yes.
But I like this philosophy because when I speak to you, I feel that there's a philosopher in there.
Oh my goodness!
And I think you've married that with your experience, and clearly you're the person you are, who's
yes.
dedicated, passionate, and determined.
Yeah, thanks. So, I think, obviously my PhD was, and I did it only because it was one of the 10 things to bucket list things, because I literally started it when I was in my 40s.
Wow.
It was research-based, and it was on Black economic empowerment in the hotel industry in South Africa.
Okay.
But as a result of that, you obviously do a lot of literature review. So I ended up actually being very fascinated by the whole idea of sustainable tourism as one of the solutions for Black economic empowerment, and I even wrote an article about that. So it was really about marrying the whole concept of sustainable tourism. How can you take all that and still solve a problem about how do you involve more people on the grassroots level and more Black people, especially in South Africa, in terms of tourism involvement, so that they're just not workers and they start becoming owners in their own right.
I think, being a woman, a Black lady, extremely successful, you are a shining light and someone that can really be looked up to and an example for African women. I think I'm sure is that part of. I mean,
yes, it is, and I think sometimes it can become a cliche. What I mean is, it is. I genuinely believe that it is part of the solution to what we need to do to change Africa, to change our individual countries. And sometimes I've found that there's a lot of let someone else solve this problem, then I will step in. But I genuinely believe that all of us are part of the solution. Some of us, we are a generation that had a certain type of experience post-independence. We had what we had, and honestly, times were good. We managed to get our kids into good schools. But we also worked hard. We didn't sit at home and just say, "Oh, we used the opportunities that were there."
Yeah.
But I genuinely also believe that because we are getting to the twilight of our lives, maybe perhaps it's also time, instead of sitting back and saying, "Oh, look at this and look at that," I actually believe we are a very strong factor in the solution to getting a better life for our children and for our grandchildren. I've got 5 grandchildren, and I look at them, and for me, this product, Mbano, is for my grandchildren. What's exciting for me is, I think, even just speaking within the Zimbabwe community, and I'm talking local and in the diaspora, I think there's a growing sentiment towards that, to actually say, guys, we are the solution to a better future for our children. We are the solution to a better Zimbabwe. And how do you do your own 2 cents worth, as I like to call it, to actually contribute to that? I think women, where we're stronger, is rather than we worry about the ego of somebody or whatever, we just say, okay, you carry on with your ego. I'm achieving what I need to achieve. So yes, I definitely hope that my journey acts as an inspiration to a lot of people, to other people, and just to say, look, the first thing is just roll up your sleeves and start working hard, and do what you have to do to survive. And no, it doesn't come easy. It doesn't come easy.
Thank you, Mati.
The whole construction, we only took down 2 trees, so the buildings moved to accommodate the trees.
Okay.
That's the way it was. But
Love
then
that.
when it came to the landscaper, we were very lucky. We got someone, and the brief for him was, please enhance what is already there. We don't want it to take away from the forest. And that's why you find there's a lot of grasses, there's a lot of sort of natural growing bushes, etc. Then obviously, even when we were trying to be, the architect then brought in the concept of a green wall. This is the first time apparently it's been done in Victoria Falls. And if you actually look at this particular area here, what you've got is almost like a microclimate, because we've got sprinklers that sort of spray every morning.
I see that. I actually thought it was a root, and it's actually a sprinkler. You've built it in so beautifully.
It's a sprinkler, and what actually happens is that at any one time, this area has got a cooler temperature than the rest of the place.
Pretty much all the gardens, everything here is indigenous
Yes.
plants, and I love that. I'm drawing inspiration. As you know, we're building quite close to you, Mati, our home.
Our gardener, head gardener, came from one of the established hotels. And after 2 months, you could see the poor guy, his head was spinning. And he says, I finally get it. I said, yeah, here we celebrate weeds. We don't take out weeds. Because he had come from a place where everything must be pristine and you must, the grass must look perfect. I said, no. The bushes, the forest almost is like regrowing again. And people love that. And that's what we found.
We are listed as one of the best countries in terms of preserving our natural heritage. And, I think, do you feel like that's something that's within Zimbabweans as a people, that we naturally don't just want to go and chop down trees? We want to look after what we have?
I think it's been a long growing tradition. And, I would say so. I'd never really thought about it, but I would say so because it's almost like even right from the schools, there's always been a strong thing about vegetation, looking after nature, coexisting with nature. So I guess so, yeah.
It's something that's just been natural to Zimbabweans to
Mm-hmm.
preserve the environment around them.
Yes.
But I think what we need to realize now is that the world's in a state of potential disaster with loss of wild habitat.
Yes.
And we are sitting on probably something more valuable than gold in the ground or diamonds. I mean, we've got our people, of course, but the nature that surrounds us could potentially be our biggest asset going forward.
Yes, but also I think for me, almost as a newcomer, if I put that, to Victoria Falls, it's taken me almost an 18-month journey to appreciate that actually the whole place is in the forest, right through, including town.
Mati, we're here in one of your beautiful suites. And it's, again, very tranquil, beautiful settings.
Yes.
Lots of space. Tell us a bit more about your inspiration behind these.
Yes, I think you touched on the right point, space. Because I think that was really where the whole thing started, to say, look, we are so fortunate in Africa. We've got lots of space. We've got nature. So rather than go for a small place, let somebody, when they come here, really feel relaxed. There are a lot of touch points in the room that you'll find, which are about, we took care, we know what you want to do, we know the lifestyle. So while you're here, this is your home, feel comfortable. So you can have the lounge, you can have a very big veranda and all your meals out there if you wish. Table type doors. So there was a lot of detail to actually say, look, we just want to be easy, effort. And I always describe it as effortless luxury.
You've created this lure of luxury, but you've also got the space and it's not cluttered.
It's not cluttered, This tub is very, very popular. Enjoy yourself. Why not sit there? There's a big tree behind you.
And I must just say, also from my side, standing under that shower, this morning, that was tremendous. Well, Mati, at that point, I want to thank you again. It's been wonderful. Thank you for taking us into your life, telling us about your inspiration, your passions, and for showing us around this incredible place that you've created. I wish you every success.
Thank you.
I'm sure you'll do well.
We just hope the world turns around and we get people coming to enjoy this wonderful place.
That time will come,
Thank you
I'm
so
sure.
much. Okay, then
Thank you.
care.
If you like this episode and don't want to miss out on other ones, please go to YouTube, look for Luke Brown Zim, and hit the subscribe button. Thanks.